remember Jimmy McElwain on the yard used to say, you want to be making moves on the street, have no attachments, allow nothing to be in your life that you cannot walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you spot the heat around the corner. Remember that?
For me, the sun rises and sets with her, man.
Yeah.
Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe.
This week we're discussing Heat, the 90s classic written and directed by Michael Mann, arguably one of the greatest crime movies ever made, and the first time we get to see Robert De Niro and Al Pacino share screen time. This is an epic movie with an epic runtime and a vast, talented cast to suit it. Al Pacino as Vincent Hanna, Robert De Niro as the criminal mastermind, Val Kilmer, John Voight, Tom Sizemore, Ashley Judd, Amy Brennan, Kevin Gage, Hank Azaria, Tom Newman, William Fichtner, and many more. I feel like it's kind of the perfect movie. It's got that sort of feel to it. It's one of those movies where you can recommend it to nearly anyone with pretty much confidence.
Yeah, I just like as well. I just like the whole, I'm gonna call it cops and robbers type of thing, like where the clever robbers are being chased by the maverick police guy. You know, although he's not maverick, but you see,
he is a maverick.
Yeah.
But the thing, because it's got that feel about it where it feels. Everything feels very authentic, even from the opening sort of sequence where we see not just the heist, but before the heist, where the mundane sort of tasks that in the build-up to the heist, like Val Kilmer's character going and buying goods from a hardware store with a fake identification, and all these things, and throughout it feels very authentic that if high-level bank robbers and people that, you know, robbers, like this sort of high level criminal robbers, professionals exist, you'd believe it could play out like this because it has a ring of authenticity, but it's also, it feels so cinematic at the same time, and it does have a nearly like a western sort of quality to it where you have the regular sort of people that are just these NCPs in the background that don't really matter, and then the criminals and the detectives are like these giants towering above them that are going about in this alternative life and world.
Yeah, so I get what you're saying. So you got them, they're just going about their shopping unbeknownst to the scheming that's going on around them. So yeah, it's really realistic. For sure. From watching it again, it's really like gritty, and I forgot how violent it is as well. Like,
it's funny,
it's quite violent.
It's brutal with its violence.
Yeah,
there's something about it's funny how like often critics and stuff take violence, because remember Joker was getting a lot of criticism for its violence in the build up to it, and it might have just been, you know, stupid talk that the studio was happy about because it was free publicity. But a lot of, when you look at the movie, it's actually not that violent, but a lot of the time it's the type of violence and how it's portrayed.
Yeah.
Cartoonish violence is actually way more acceptable for some reason with most people, which I don't really get, because surely if you're going to have something, isn't that the thing that is trivialising violence, cartoonish violence?
Yeah.
Whereas when you see violence and it's portrayed in a horrible, brutal, authentic way, and it gets that uncomfortable feeling in a person, isn't that how you're supposed to be reacting? Shouldn't that be better? Isn't that a better way of portraying it?
So by cartoonish violence,
Kill Bill.
Yeah, Kill Bill when they're like chopping legs off and like blood spraying.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you were asking a question.
No. I was about to ask you, but that was the one that popped into my head.
And the first time you see real horrible violence in this movie, I'm assuming you're talking about, is during the opening heist.
Yeah, so that was my one, Declan, where they had stopped they kind of like blow something up so they can't actually hear him, and even he says, because you've got the long haired.
Hey Slick, look at the blood coming out
yeah. You've got the like long haired like crazy one.
Not Van Sant. I can't remember his name.
Who is also like a mass murderer. It turns out like,
or just an out and out
psychopath.
psychopath. That sequence later on where he's alone with the hooker.
That's horrible. And
and
it turns out she was only 16 as well.
The Grim Reaper's visiting you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't know what this is, do you? And he is just a ghoul in this movie.
He's a dickhead, man. But they blow him up. They can't hear. And this is kind of like the first time, I don't know where they found this guy, because they seem to be like a professional, close-knit outfit. All of them do the heist together, and then he's on his first heist, because he gets in, and he's like, have you done a lot of jobs with these guys?
Yeah, this works good. I'd consider going again, you know? Yeah, stop talking, okay, Snake?
He kind of like turns around the other guy and like, don't talk, that kind of thing. I think Tom Sizemore's character.
Well, he's the typical... He's kind of like, you know, when you see a documentary about, I don't know, football hooligans or gangsters, and the people that agree to go on those are never the real deal.
Yeah.
Because why would... Like, the real deal people don't need to or want to talk about it. And he's there for the story so he can tell people later that he's done it.
Yeah.
That's what he's there for.
Yeah.
But the others are professional, and you really see that. Especially, the heist is all like meticulously done. They steal the ambulance, they do this, they do that. But it's also, once it goes wrong, they're evil people. They're disgusting. They kill innocent people.
Yeah.
But it's for business. Now, that doesn't make it any better, but they're not psychopaths in that sense. The way they shoot the last security guard is he looks back, gives him the nod, kills him. It's ruthless and brutal, but it has the air of it was just an executive professional decision. It didn't make any sense to leave him alive. And that's when we then, in the aftermath, get introduced to Pacino's detective.
I think with the other guys, like De Niro's character, Danny Trejo, Tom Sizemore, I think if they could avoid killing people, they would.
Absolutely.
But this psycho guy, that's the scene I was talking about. He kills him, he kills the first guy for no reason.
Oh, he's...
literally, he's like, you stop, I don't know, you can't remember, he's like, stop making fun of me or something.
He's gagging.
Gagging,
basically. To pull the trigger on someone.
And they were just like, kind of like, you know, in this country, the kind of G4S security guards who like refill the cash points with their little cases. It's like them, like you're just killing.
Which as well, they're not gonna fight back in that situation unless you get a random idiot.
Yeah. And
anyway, so next we get introduced to Pacino's detective, and just the same way that we're introduced to how high level the criminals are, we immediately get shown how high a level he is at what he does.
Look like gangbangers working the local 7-Eleven to you. Robbery, homicides, take me out.
Because he starts just looking around the crime scene, picking out things, and you would look there and be like, what the fuck happened here? And he just sees a story.
Yeah.
Where, judging by this, they did that because they know our response time, and they picked this particular location because no helicopters could see or get a sight on them, and this, that, and the other. And you just see that he is an absolute brilliant detective. But what did you think of his performance in this?
See, by you saying that, I think that you think he's shit.
Infer nothing. Just go on.
There was some bits in it that were a bit like.
She's got a great ass.
Yeah, like cringy, like I remember when he goes to like interrogate some guy that's on their payroll, the black guy. And then he says, oh, he's from Memphis. He starts going, I'm going to ring the bell in Memphis.
And if you look at the guy, the actor's face, you can tell Pacino was definitely ad-libbing a load of crazy shit. Yeah. And you can tell the guy's looking at him, waiting for him to be done. So he's like, I need to get out of this line so the scene can move forward.
He said no. Cause he in Phoenix.
By the time I get to
man,
Phoenix,
I swear, man, tonight's
he'll
the best
be
I can do for
rising.
you.
He'll probably leave a note right on the door.
Tonight's the best I can do for you, man.
Yeah.
But he's just looking at him like, fuck, like, stop singing,
and
man.
And there was another, like, a bit that was so cringy, it kind of made me laugh. Do you know, remember when he goes back to his wife's house and he finds out that she's fucking some other guy, and she's like, you're not
Ralph
mad?
or something.
And he's like, yeah, I am mad. He's like, you can drink my coffee, but you can't watch my cable. And he starts like punching the TV. I was like, right, okay.
See, it's a weird one where, because it's the kind of performance where you often see memes of it or clips of it replayed, and out of context, it always annoys me. I find it really annoying. In the context of the movie, it really works, especially the way he plays off Robert De Niro's introvert.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense, and it's also playing home that the duality of their sort of battle throughout the movie, where De Niro does awful things, but he's actually a pretty good dude in his social life. Like, he's incredibly loyal to his friends, has a real close-knit thing, looks out for Val Kilmer's wife.
Yeah,
like, even though you can argue, like, is that even the right thing to do? And maybe you could even argue the motivation to get involved. Maybe it's just to keep him straight so that they can do the next caper or whatever. But I don't think it's that. I think he generally somehow can compartmentalize the terrible things he does and be a good person in his social life.
Yeah.
Whereas Pacino's obviously, the hero of the piece, but he's a complete piece of shit. Other than his stepdaughter, but he's maybe not even a piece of shit. He's a mess.
His life is because he's so devoted to his job. His life is just a state, he's gone on a date with his wife and they're at some party or something, and then his pager goes off, and then he just fucks off and leaves her at the party, and it's like she just obviously gets sick of it and starts fucking other people.
And she's a selfish person as well, because
she is.
She's too busy chasing him and chasing her own happiness, and she starts ignoring the stepdaughter.
Yeah.
Which is another thing where this is one of those movies where it's an epic and it's sprawling and there is so many little subplots. And the subplot of his stepdaughter is the least interesting. But it's still fucking good. And it's one of those things, again, like I was saying about Pacino out of context. When I remember this movie, I remember those scenes being annoying. But when I'm actually watching them, it's so well written and so well acted that even those scenes really keep me.
Yeah, I guess that they're putting there, so it kind of adds a bit more character depth. Sorry, like seeing how their life is and like what makes them that person. Like as De Niro, you called him an extrovert, yeah?
No, introvert.
Introvert. There's that one scene where he's in a bar.
Yeah.
like the girl's just there and he just fucks her on the first night. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
they meet in a sushi restaurant.
Sushi restaurant. Sorry, yeah.
She, by the way, I meant to look up who this actress was and what she did after and whatever, because I don't really remember her in anything else.
No, neither do I.
Between her southern accent and her big round face and her big curly 90s hair and big eyes. Yeah. Oh, mate, I fell in love with her at the same time.
I forgot the stepdaughter was fucking Natalie Portman as well.
Yeah, I always forget Natalie Portman was a child actress.
Yeah.
She's one of the ones that made it through and didn't go fucking mental.
But obviously this film has a big appeal because it's got two acting heavyweights acting together.
Yeah, and it was the first time they were ever seen on screen together. And there's always those rumours because it's that famous coffee scene where...
Across the table.
That comes later. And it's at a point where... So before we get to that, actually, we'll go back. So the opening sequence sets up the eventual collision between De Niro and Pacino.
Yeah.
Because you have Pacino's now onto them.
Yeah.
So they've got heat.
Yeah.
Don't know where it's come from. They don't know if anyone's even going to be able to trace them or whatever. But they've got some heat. So we see that's, like we said, that scene where Pacino's going and getting information. And he gets linked to him by hearing the name Slick. Because Tom Sizemore's character calls everyone Slick. And that's a real... When you actually say it out loud, that's a very tenuous, silly link for a detective to eventually find someone. But in the movie, it sells it perfectly and you believe it.
Basically, Al Pacino, for anyone that hasn't seen this film, is basically like a Sherlock Holmes kind of autistic
On
man,
coke.
savant.
Yeah.
Like police officer. Like he just, as you said, gets to a crime scene and goes, "They were standing there."
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh.
He, but do you know what's interesting as well is Pacino said that the way he played the character was a detective who had a secret cocaine addiction.
I see. That
So,
would make sense.
It makes a lot more sense then, doesn't
it's
it?
like that film with Harvey Keitel.
What was it?
Uh,
Oh, Bad Lieutenant.
But obviously he's actually bad at his
Yeah.
job. Like, do you know what I mean? And also, who I noticed in this, because this was Michael Mann, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I knew straight away. You know, his like closest partner, the kind of like native Indian cop.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah,
he's
yeah.
in Last of the Mohicans,
Yeah, he's
in
in
it, and
all
I
these
was like,
movies.
I saw him, I was like, him, like yeah, from
See,
Last
I
of the
love when you
Mohicans.
see a director's career develop and you start to see he builds his cast of people.
Yeah.
Because it's not just obviously like you have partnerships like De Niro and Scorsese and DiCaprio and Scorsese later, but I mean those small other cast characters
Yeah,
who fill out the film, and you see like I just love that idea that people over time they pick up a cast they love going back to.
But before we move on from the cast points, it's got your man in it again. The actor that's in stuff, and no
Oh.
one knows who he
Van
is.
Sant, not the actor. That's who he
yeah, the
plays.
guy that was in the bank scene in the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Him, I was like, him again.
He's brilliant. Another
Yeah.
fantastic.
I need to find his
subplot.
name. I need to find his name one day. In fact, no, I'm going to leave it in the hopes that he pops
No.
up in another film. And I'm like,
He'll
there
never
he-
pop up. No, he will pop up, but let's just never. Find
Yeah,
out his
yeah,
name.
yeah. They're like, it's always going to be like, that guy again.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah,
So-
so he's in it, yeah.
So to set up, because we're not going to go for every beat, but we're going to be going through like touching on things. So one of the things I love as well is you see all the different levels of the criminals
Yeah.
in different characters. You see the black dude who's just out of jail trying to go straight on parole, getting fucked over by the prick
By
in the
the
McDonald's.
fried chef, whatever.
You see De Niro and his crew who are like these high level criminals, professionals. The fella who lives out in the mountains and has all those radio antennas.
Again, I recognise him, but
He's-
I don't
yeah.
know who he is.
And he's picking up all these different signals
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
sells the
yeah,
information.
yeah.
How do you get this information? Just comes to you. This stuff just flies through the air. They send this information out. I mean, it's just beamed out all over the fucking place. You all have to do is know how to grab it. See, I know how to grab it.
And you see John Voight, who's playing, I guess, a high-level fixer who, if you need, like, he's like his accountant slash
Yeah,
fixer.
so he's like good friends with De Niro, isn't it? Like,
And you just see all these levels of it. And then you see the corporate level with Van Sant, who's a money launderer, but he's doing it behind a fancy desk and
Yeah.
high up in a skyscraper. And De Niro's and his crew have done some sort of scam on Van Sant.
yeah,
And John Voight, who's kind of his accountant slash advisor, he tells him, why not sell it back to him? He's a professional. He won't like it, but he'll take it for what it is. He's a businessman. When they try and do that, Van Sant, who I guess he's buying into his own hype,
It's like,
thinking
fuck you.
thinking he's a bit of a gangster, decides like, no, he's going to kill him. But that comes.
No,
back
but
up.
you'd be really pissed off though. Like if someone
Mate,
scammed you.
Would you fuck with De Niro in this?
Yeah, but
No,
does
you
he,
fuck.
does,
Would you
no,
fuck with Val Kilmer in this?
But does he know who they are though? That's the thing. He doesn't know who they are. He doesn't even know that they had stolen
True.
it.
He
And
assumes he's the big shot
Yeah,
in
and
this
basically
situation.
he thinks, as you said, that he's harder than them essentially. So yeah, he tries to kill him with the whole
And it goes fuck
the
it,
whole. I didn't really. That's one bit I didn't really understand. Like the setup assassination. Someone random just calls you and goes, "Oh, I've got a package."
No. It was that was supposed to be him paying him.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that was the
yeah.
deal
Oh,
going
yeah,
down.
Yeah. And then I see.
But again, everything's so. You just believe that they're this. Yeah, go.
But my point about the deal was it was a bit amateurish from Robert De Niro, knowing what we know about him. I thought it would be like, he'd turn up. I know Val Kilmer's there with a gun. He's like, I'm on a roof, we've got snipers on you, put the package down,
Right.
leave it and go.
Yeah, it makes
like
sense.
it surprised me that he'd pull up next to the car, even though he was like put your hands up and all this. It seemed like he could easily get fucked over in that situation.
Yeah, true, but he did have a sniper on the roof, and he was vigilant, and he was checking the mirrors, and that's why he saw the fella.
Fuck, behind you. On the right.
So Tom Sizemore, he's in loads of films and he's always really good in it. Like this one, obviously he has quite a big part in Saving Private Ryan, doesn't he? He's one of the soldiers.
Always extremely memorable as well.
But he's never, I just don't remember him in a lead role.
I can't think of one either, and he's not really a lead role guy. A lot of people make a great...
Like secondary actor.
Actually, I was about to say a lot of people. Most people make a great career out of being not the lead, everything but the lead man. Like, you know, there's...
Unknown name guy.
Unknown... Yeah. No,
yeah.
A great example. Like, he is. He's an iconic... He's probably as recognisable to people as your top list actors, just below the status of like your Tom Cruises. You know, who?
Were you a fucking owl?
Anyone that watches movies knows that face.
Yeah, and it's like he's never like, obviously he has a semi decent role in this, but screen time all in all is probably about 10 minutes if you put it all together.
Great character and great subplot and very memorable though.
Yeah,
and he's got some memorable, because after the deal goes wrong, or his attempt to kill them goes wrong, you have that iconic scene where De Niro calls him.
What am I doing? I'm talking to an empty telephone.
I don't understand.
Because there was a dead man on the other end of this fucking line.
So the whole thing's set up, and they're about to do another heist.
Yeah.
But during it goes wrong because they realise that Pacino and his team have got surveillance on them.
Yeah.
And we're watching it, and you see, again, it's that level of professionalism where they're pretty much in. Val Kilmer even says, like...
safe,
he's doing the safe.
Yeah.
But De Niro knows there's something wrong. So he just says, leave it.
This is where Michael Mann does the like back and forth between the two teams, and Pacino and him really good because it cuts between them. And then the Native American guy goes, he knows. And then they're like, obviously the snipers are like, let's get him. But Pacino's like, get him for what? Breaking and entering. He'll be out in 6 months. So you can see how professional like De Niro is.
And the patience as well to not just go after him, because everyone else is like, fuck it, let's do it.
Because if you think about it, for De Niro and Val Kilmer, obviously they've got in, they're already in, but he could have, we don't know, he could have been drilling on that safe for like 2 hours, 3 hours. So it must have been so annoying to them to like leave it. But
it feels though like once you've done that, surely like, I don't know.
It would take ages to get into a safe.
No, but I mean just like surely like you get caught red-handed.
Yeah.
Anyway, they leave, and then the next sequence is so brilliant because you see De Niro and the crew. They got together and they're discussing
next heist kind of thing.
Well, they're discussing something like next heist or whatever they're doing, and Pacino again. The whole team have got surveillance on him, and they keep pointing to this one area. So
yeah.
So once they leave, Pacino and the crew go into that area, and it's like by a sort of silo, I think, in an industrial state or something like that. And they're watching it, and they're trying to figure out like what is it about this area, and then he clocks.
Yeah.
They have got surveillance on them.
Yeah, he goes.
So they're watching them from afar.
Yeah.
And then he's going to John Voight, who's like his fixer/advisor, and he has all this information on the detective.
Yeah.
And this is he knows about him now. De Niro knows about Pacino, and Pacino knows how high level smart the guys he's dealing with is. So this is when he just says fuck it and he just stops him and says let's go for a coffee.
Yeah.
And they have that first ever face to face Pacino and De Niro moment.
But what I like, going back to the scene in we'll call it industrial estate, obviously the other cops are just clueless and they're just like looking around like, what, I don't like, they're saying like there's something near here but it's all checks and there's no cash, so they've checked it out already. And then De Niro, Pacino's the only one that's clocked, so he starts going, do you know why he's brought us here? And they have no clue. And he's like, because they've been watching us, motherfucker.
He's like, smart boy.
Yeah. That made me laugh so much. He's like, you can see me, motherfucker. Yeah.
He's so out of it. And then, do you know what's weird as well? The whole Pacino
That
thing.
was funny, yeah.
When he started screaming in the second half of his career a lot.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But also, he just sounds totally different. You know, in his early half of his career, he just doesn't sound like remotely the same
It
dude.
just kind of like reminds me of like, I know he was shouting. Do you remember that?
Devil's Advocate.
No, not Devil's Advocate. That American football film when he gives that
Do you know,
speech,
I've never actually
Any
seen
Given
that.
Sunday.
Is that good?
He just screams like that for like the whole
But
film.
only if you win. that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, no.
I've never actually seen it.
No, it's quite actually a good film.
I've seen the speech a million times.
Oh, the speech.
It's always
is
in
brilliant.
like cut into motivational.
Oh
videos.
yeah, it's always like on YouTube. It's always like if you feel you can do it, and then it's cut to him going, "You need to win with all your."
And then it cuts to like the Rock doing.
Yeah. And then it's got music like yeah,
Playing Last of the Mohicans.
yeah. But so the coffee shop, yeah, kind of like a very iconic.
Yeah, and
moment.
it's when I watch it now, it kind of the actual dialogue and stuff isn't all that thing. It's more just the build up to the moment,
Yeah.
and what it means for the characters. But the dialogue's not all that memorable for me from that moment.
Yeah, the dialogue is kind of like, Pacino kind of tries to stop him because I think Pacino knows that he's going to do something else because obviously he knows that his last job fucked up, so he knows that he's going to go for another score.
Well, I think he's also
And he's trying to stop him.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you see me, would you like shoot me or something?
Yeah, they go tit for tat, but it's
Yeah.
also the whole conversation is essentially an opportunity. He's basically leaving the door open to him where it's just like, why don't you just walk away?
Yeah, yeah.
Without saying it.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
I think that table in that coffee shop is you can like pay to like sit in
Really?
it. There's that table, and then do you know that famous one from When Harry Met Sally?
Oh, right, where she has the fake orgasm.
Yeah, that table as well was like called and
Really, yeah.
take photos of it in the
That's
real
amazing,
coffee shop.
actually.
Yeah.
Kind of like that staircase now from the Joker.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I don't know. That's kind of like that was very controversial because of the Gary Glitter thing, wasn't it? Because they used Gary Glitter music when he's
I mean, he didn't make any money from it.
yeah, I know, but
It's a good
like,
song.
Yeah, I think it was a good song.
No one says that about any of MJ's music because it's so
That
good.
is true.
Do you know what I mean?
That is true. But yeah, the coffee shop. All in all, it wasn't. Yeah, as you said,
I don't condone paedophilia though.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can't remember the dialogue either. It's just more.
It's
a
more.
meeting.
It's the
Titans,
fact that
Clash
the
of
meeting
Titans,
happened.
yeah.
You could have filmed that whole sequence from outside with zero audio, looking through the
Yeah,
window,
yeah,
and it still
yeah.
would have more or less had the same significance.
But it's good that actually did meet though. Like
Oh, yeah.
before they
Before
finally
he shot him.
went toe to toe. Yeah.
Well, it sets up that final exchange
Yeah, it does,
in the
it
end.
does, it
And
does.
also, at this point, you have a building respect, and once they actually meet, they see a lot of each other in the other,
Yeah.
which obviously has a lot of significance.
So before they go, because they're going to do the last heist, before they go on this heist, as you said about De Niro's character, he really does care about his crew. Because
Yeah.
he's like, look, we're going to basically rob a bank. The chances are, because who actually gets away with robbing a bank? The chances are
only the people you never heard about.
Yeah, the chances are we are going to get caught. And then De Niro
Was the fact that they have heat on them.
Yeah. De Niro even admits that they're probably going to get caught. He even says it's worth the stretch for me because I've got no ties, and that is like the famous line in it. That don't ever have something that you can't leave in 30 seconds or something. So that's
he says it's worth the heat, but we also know that he never intends to. It's worth the stretch, but he never intends to go back inside.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And then he even says to, I'm not sure if it's Danny Trejo's character or Tom Sizemore.
Tom Sizemore's the one.
He says, "You've got enough assets. You don't need to do another job."
Yeah, he says
Right.
to him, well, basically, we got to decide, is the juice worth the squeeze? And Tom
Yeah,
Sizemore
yeah.
says,
Well, for me, the action is the juice. I'm in. Go.
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
which is a great line because it says everything about the kind of people that would do this.
Yeah,
as
they
a,
do it
as
for
a
the
job.
They do it for the thrill more than anything at the time.
I guarantee plenty of them could have retired. It didn't seem like they were leading that extravagant lifestyles.
No, mate. Did you see fucking? Do you remember that house that Val Kilmer was like just asleep on the floor with no furniture?
Great.
It's basically on like the ocean.
How beautiful is
like,
the shot?
Yeah,
and also it tells you everything you need to know about their relationship.
Oh, they love each other.
Yeah, they love each other, and also the weird sort of contradictions of how much Val Kilmer loves his wife.
Yeah,
Judd Apatow, the beautiful Judd Apatow.
That's the
Judd Apatow. That's the director.
Yeah.
Ashley Judd.
Yeah,
the beautiful Ashley
Judd.
Judd.
That's the problem. De Niro doesn't really give a shit, but Val Kilmer, he's got a wife and daughter. Although he treats his wife like shit, he still does love her.
He really
does. That's the problem.
They kind of just have that toxic relationship some people have where, you know, we know some people like that where they kind of love. You see the argument from the outset and think that looks like hell, but they secretly sort of love it on some level.
Well, it's reflection of Al Pacino and his wife in this. They do. You can tell they love each other when the stepdaughter's in trouble and they're like they come together.
I don't know even if I would say they love each other. I feel like it's more.
I don't know. Yeah.
I actually think that's a less healthy relationship.
Yeah.
But you see the fact that De Niro doesn't have shit in his place.
Yeah, true.
It's the ultimate bachelor pad.
Yeah.
You know, everything's simple.
He's got like 3 beers in the fridge.
He barely even has furniture.
No, I know.
And it just sums up his character. He really does have zero attachments.
He literally has nothing in.
But the Southern Belle comes into his life and flips it all on its fucking head because he's in that. I'd be enamoured as well. I'd be like, fuck all this. Like, let's go to New Zealand.
Fucking hell, man. Going back to like 90s stuff, like I remember I had the maddest crush on that fucking Kelly Bird from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
She was so.
Is she in this?
No, but obviously you said that about like the 90s.
Kelly, man. And she was going out, what was it? She was going out with Zach.
Zach. mate, back in the day.
And the other chick with the long hair.
Yeah, there's something about, Jess or something.
And the curly haired black chick.
Lisa. And then Screech used to like follow her like, Lisa! Anyway, like, that kind of like 90s look, like the round face, as you said, with the hair, like, you just don't see it these days. Obviously.
Well, you know that's my look. That's my thing anyway with my current girlfriend.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so they decide, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're thinking they want to get back at Van Sant, but it's probably not the best idea right now with everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
So they're kind of leaving that, but Van Sant's freaking out, and he hasn't even left his office. He's sleeping in there. He's scared. And in walks the prick old Slick from the beginning.
Oh yeah, the fuck.
And he basically says he knows him and he whatever, and he's going to work with him to try and get him killed. So he ends up tipping off the police as they're walking into the bank to perform the heist. So when they perform the heist, do the bank robbery, again, ever the professional De Niro says, we're not after your money, we're after the bank's money, your money is insured, blah, blah, blah.
He even goes on with, like, if you have a heart condition or feel nauseous, get up against the wall. Like, he's actually...
Really?
He's actually a nice geezer. Like, I know he's doing a heist, but and then, they get the money. For some reason, I thought it was really slick when like Val Kilmer goes in with the bags and like he gets the knife and like cuts it, and then he gets like this bag and just like pulls it over. Even shit like that. It's like this is cool
so
as
beautifully
fuck.
done.
Yeah.
And then
basically,
so they get out and they all get in the cars, and then Val Kilmer's walking out, and there's an iconic shot where he's got that sort of smile on his face.
Yeah.
And then he spots Pacino across the road.
Yeah, it's a really cool shot because what happens is when he's walking out, a bus is like coming. And then, like, he's, like, smiling, and then the bus pulls off, and then when the bus pulls off, you can see the police with a gun, so he just goes, like, starts shooting.
And so starts one of the most iconic shootouts of all time. And you know, this is kind of like a well-known thing now, but I just still can't believe it, is that for a while, the American military would use this sequence as an example of how to conduct a proper retreat.
Oh, their retreat from the police.
Well, just the whole next sequence.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
It was really cool because for some reason it was a lot cooler because they had really powerful guns, if you see what I mean. Like
Well,
they had proper like M16s.
Well, and the sound design
Yeah.
is perfect as well. And it's filmed perfectly where it feels very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Film, a lot of handheld where you really feel like you're right there in it. And a lot of time, handheld sometimes usually doesn't work for me, but in this sequence it is just perfect.
But obviously, Declan, we got to put the facts out there that, like, obviously in real life, the police would never risk doing, running up to bank robbers with assault rifles. There's pedestrians everywhere. Do you know what? Let's shoot, past. Like, they'd be like, no, too dangerous.
There's an element
let them go.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you might also you might also say, you're not assuming they're going to immediately open fire necessarily.
True.
That's very rarely ever happened. Like, shootouts with the police like that really don't happen, man.
Because there's an even more, like, kind of far-fetched bit where they get into, like, a supermarket car park.
Yeah.
They're shooting at each other through crowds of people. There's, like, old women, like, and
Yeah.
they're getting shot and, like, dying, and Al Pacino's just like, move! Like, just pushing people out.
And there's moments where he's like, give me that shotgun!
Yeah.
And he just grabs it and starts running down the street.
Yeah.
The other policeman doesn't even, follow him.
But still, it was... It's
who
really,
cares? Yeah, it's
really
fucking
good.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer and De Niro managed to get away. The black
he
black
dies.
dude in the fast food restaurant who they'd recruited in an earlier scene, which was a really gratifying. If ever you've had a fucking dickhead boss, it was that gratifying moment where he just says, "Fuck it, yeah, I'll be your driver."
Yeah.
Pushes over the little dork who's been giving him a hard time.
But you knew he was gonna die because, like,
Well, yeah, it's also that's the perfect.
he accepted the job.
That's the perfect destination for his character, because that's in a very little screen time they perfectly summarise how hard it must be for ex-con to make good after.
It was quite sad as well because he's like, he was saying to his wife, or his wife was saying to him like, oh, just stick it out, and he's like, doesn't want to be in the little shit. And then obviously you're like, oh,
she sees it on the news later.
Yeah. Obviously you're like, this guy's gonna die, isn't he?
It's a total bummer.
Yeah.
And Tom Sizemore gets killed.
No, Tom Sizemore, because he saved the little kid, man.
He didn't save a little kid.
He picked her up, didn't he?
Yeah, but to save her, he was using her as a
He
body
used
shield.
her as a shield. Sorry, yeah. Didn't save her. I thought he was saving her, man.
No, man, saving her.
Yeah, he dies.
He literally saving her from what?
And then Val Kilmer gets shot as well.
Val Kilmer, he gets shot, but he's not killed. He's all right.
No.
De Niro takes him to a doctor, and they do him up.
Yeah, do him up. Yeah.
And he's all right. So at the same time, there's a whole other subplot that's going on where basically Pacino has cottoned on to the fact that there's some low-life character who's been fucking Val Kilmer's wife, and he uses him as an in to Val Kilmer's wife to get her on side.
Yeah.
So now her loyalty, she was already pretty much wanting to leave him.
Yeah.
But her loyalty to him beyond just leaving him in general is really under test here. Because she's essentially fucked.
Yeah.
And she has to help the police.
Yeah.
So now we have the true test for Robert De Niro's character here, where everything he believes in about if you're going to lead this lifestyle, how you need to approach it in terms of, like he says, if you feel the heat around the corner, have no attachments, nothing you can't walk away with in 15 seconds or less, or whatever amount of time it is. Maybe he allows 30 seconds, I can't remember. But this next sequence is where that whole philosophy is put under scrutiny.
Yeah, the lowlife that's fucking Val Kilmer's wife, he's Hank Azaria.
Yeah, he's another extremely recognisable
He's
face.
the one that does loads and loads of voices on The Simpsons.
Oh,
yeah. And he's also in a lot of films.
He's also David in Friends.
Yeah, and he was in that crappy Sean Pegg Run, Fat Boy Run.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, he's
scraping up the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, the Hank Azaria is basically, he gets done by the police, doesn't he? They're like, you're either going to go prison or help us. And he's a proper dickhead to Val Kilmer's wife.
Well, he's just, I mean, he's a slimy
He's a
piece of
scumbag,
shit,
yeah,
isn't he?
basically, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, so De Niro's we got all this going on, and then what happens then?
So basically,
Hard to keep up with.
so all the pieces, all the threads and different
Are coming
tangents and
together,
subplots
yeah.
are coming together now. So you have De Niro and his crew; their faces are all over the news.
Yeah.
De Niro's chick is like, "What the fuck?" But
And she doesn't know.
She's not happy about it, and she's freaked out. But she
decides.
the fact that she doesn't even run off when he's clearly like the door's open if she wants to go.
Yeah.
She's kind of already made a decision that she does want to stay with him. She loves him. And we have Danny Trejo's been killed or beaten
Yeah,
to
he
death,
gets
nearly to death.
nearly beaten.
So that's
up,
how
yeah.
De Niro finds out that old Slick is the one who's betrayed him.
Yeah.
And that actually, interestingly, is what ultimately undoes him. Because
yeah, he gets away, basically.
He gets away with his chick and they're headed to the airport.
Cause
He's chosen to bring her with her,
Yeah.
but that's not what undoes him. That's not what fucks him.
Because Fixer guy calls up and is like, he's going to set him up with a flight. They're going there. And then he goes on the phone, oh, blah, blah, blah. The scumbag guy is staying at the hotel. Not that you're going to care, but I want to let you know. And he's like, okay, thanks. And then
John Voight, thinking about
John
it.
Voight, yeah.
John Voight actually fucks him over a lot. Because he's the one who first...
Yeah, I think maybe he done it on purpose.
No, I don't think he did. I don't think he did that on purpose, but he gives it bad advice in this movie.
Yeah, because...
He tells him, he's the one who says, oh, why don't you sell it back to Van Sant?
That's true.
And then he's like, oh, I know you're about to leave
why did he tell him? Why didn't
and
he
enjoy
say
the
it?
rest of your life
Yeah.
with your beautiful fucking southern chick. But
obviously,
that I'm just gonna tell you that guy you hate.
the guy that fucked you over, who you've now had to shoot your friend Danny Trejo in the head because he asked you to, who got him beaten up to death. Obviously, he's gonna go there. Do you know what I mean?
Devil's advocate, though, he might know De Niro's character well enough where he would have been more angry
if he didn't
tell him.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, so he knows, but he's already tied up the Van Sant loose end where he's gone and killed him. So everything's done. Val Kilmer's gone his own way. He's gone off to try and meet his wife again.
Yeah.
He's like, fair enough. So he's on his own now. So he's trying to leave. And they're headed towards the airport. And at the last second, he turns and he says,
like,
no. He's like, I've got to sort something. And that's what fucks him
It does.
in the end. He managed to kill Slick.
See, I think what
in a great scene as well.
I think what fucks him is basically, if you look at it like this, with De Niro, everything his character, he has got through his whole life in this dangerous profession by methodically planning everything out. And if you look at it, he does it at the last second without thinking about it, and that eventually it fucks him over.
Well, here's why though as well. It's not ego. I don't think it's ego. It's
revenge.
Yeah, but it's whereas revenge can come from a lot of things. It might come from a bruised ego, but it doesn't come from a bruised ego. It comes from loyalty. His friends are dead.
Yeah.
Because of that piece of shit.
And also, do you know what? If you think about it, Declan, he has probably saved bare people's lives. Because this guy was a serial killer that was murdering bare people, by the way. He could have, left and killed.
I'm still not signing off as De Niro as, a good
I know,
person.
but still. I don't really... The whole serial killer thing, because they say in it, it's got the same MO. If we check the semen, it will be the same match.
Yeah.
Obviously, they just put that in there to nail on how much of a scumbag this guy is, basically, because it never went anywhere further apart from.
Well, I don't think.
He's a serial killer.
I guess there's an element of that, but it's also the fact that, it's just fleshing out an interesting character.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's like this guy's a scumbag, but he also murders various prostitutes.
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
know
I
what
suppose
mean?
it's a testament to how great the characterization is in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he would be the most interesting character in most movies.
Oh,
but he's just one of
definitely
an absolute fucking canon of amazing characters in this movie. But the whole sequence that leads up to his getting killed by De Niro is brilliant as well, where he pulls the fire alarm and everyone's vacating the building, which is genius because it just creates chaos of people. There's no witness can be like, oh, I saw this guy, because you saw loads of people running past you, and no one's concentrating on anyone.
Yeah, again, this was very far fetched as well.
Would you say? What bit?
Mate, because he must know the police are going to be there, like, guarding him, surely. Because they're in the next room, aren't they? Like,
well, I suppose, it depends what you mean far-fetched. It's stupid.
Obviously, he goes in there, he's dressed up as a security, and then a scumbag guy comes to the door, and obviously he looks through the little eye hole that De Niro's got his
hold on
head to the back.
Wasn't it an anonymous tip? I don't think he knows that the police are on him.
Good point, yeah.
Like, I don't think Slick knows that the police are on him.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Actually, no, they're staking him out. Yeah. See in the next room.
Because they're thinking De Niro.
Yes.
Again, Pacino's a fucking genius, so he's already thought ahead of that.
Yeah, because they know that scumbag is in the hotel, and so I've totally got it wrong until I've just realised that you're right. And then obviously Pacino knows De Niro's character from like meeting him, trailing him. He's like, he'll come for him. And okay.
So De Niro, he has that brilliant line where he says, "Look at me.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me."
I wanted there to be a bit more of like a bit of a fight with that.
Nah, it's not a fight movie though.
He just kicks the door down and like he's got a gun. Scumbag did have a gun, but I think he knocked it off him.
Yeah, but it's not an action movie. It's an epic.
True.
It's an epic drama with action elements occasionally.
Yeah.
But the action elements are very grounded in realism.
Yeah, he just shoots him twice, and then obviously police taking it out.
Yeah, so they know that. So De Niro runs and
get a gun straight.
Again, it's a beautiful scene of he's walking. He can see. He's walking out to the car. He can nearly reach out and touch freedom, everything he wants. He's fucking killed the guy that fucked him over. He's tied up every loose end. He just needs to get in the car with his beautiful woman
and then try and
get out
into
there.
The sunset.
And then he sees Pacino.
So Pacino's found him again.
And he has to run away. And it gets into that last sequence where they're running across the tarmac and he's being chased and he's hiding out in the weeds and behind cars and behind buildings. And it's only as the light of an incoming aircraft changes the angle of the light, and he sees De Niro's shadow coming out.
They both like turn at the exact same time, but unfortunately, Pacino's cop is the sharper, and then fills De Niro with lead.
Well, do you know what? I think it kind of comes down to as well is. I don't even know if he was sharp, but I think it was just the circumstance. The way it worked out. There's another version of this movie that could have easily ended with De Niro kills him.
When I was watching this first time, I knew that. I kind of realised that some big fight was going to happen. And then throughout the whole film, I was like, who do I want to win out of these two?
I was going to ask you about this, and I was waiting to ask you who you rooted for. I 100% was rooting for the whole crew and De Niro.
Yes,
I know I shouldn't.
To be honest, so was I.
I know you shouldn't. But I am.
I know this thing of like black and white cops are good, and like blah, blah, but I was like, nah, I want De Niro to escape.
I mean, forget even black and white. Are the cops good? I think it's just on paper undeniable that the cops are in the right, and Pacino is the one you should be rooting for. But I'm rooting for De Niro. I want him to get away. I'm always delighted at least Val Kilmer gets away.
Yeah, at least one of them.
He has that beautiful sequence where she gives him the slightest signal when he's looking up at the window, and that's how he gets away.
Yeah.
So at least Val Kilmer gets away, but I'm always gutted. But it's a beautiful, beautiful moment between De Niro and Pacino as they take each other's hand, and he tells them,
"I told you I wasn't going back."
Yeah. And he holds his hand as he dies.
Out of everyone in this whole film, though, well, number one, I feel sorry for the innocent bystanders who died in the bank heist that were walking about.
Yeah.
And mostly I feel sorry for Southern chick, man, because she's just waiting in the car for him to come back, and like all this chaos is happening.
Yeah.
And then it suddenly dawns on her, like she starts like crying that he's not coming back.
Yeah, and it's
I was
always...
like, oh.
I love moments like that in movies and TV shows where I'm always fascinated by the idea that everyone gets one life.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go backwards, and you get one life, and that moment in when you see someone has fucked up their life.
Yeah.
And I guess she'll be okay after it, but more so like De Niro and other characters. But that moment where you see someone realizes, oh, I've ruined my life here. I've made the wrong decision. I fucked it. It's all over. Or they see the future they thought they had just go up in flames. Like that's my favourite sort of scene or moment for any character in any movie or TV show.
And the rest of them, including Pacino's cop, I don't really care about because they're all scumbags. I mean, I like
the rest of who? What do you mean?
Like all the other characters, basically. Like
what?
No. I felt sorry for Black Ex-Con.
Yeah, I really like that
I
character.
felt sorry for that guy. I mean, he could have said no, but you knew his reasons for saying yes because that dickhead Fryhook, and he was embarrassed, and he was like, "Fuck it."
Wrong time, right place at the wrong time.
And then you know, he's not gonna not turn up. Do you know what I mean? Because imagine if he didn't turn up like a getaway driver, and they all worked out of the bank, and he weren't there. He knew they'd be fucked, and he had to be there, which cost him his life. Actually, sadly. But yeah, all in all, I think, to sum it up for me personally, this could be, what am I going to call it? One of the greatest action movies. I don't know, how would you summarise it? Would you summarise it as a thriller?
I'd say one of the best crime movies ever.
One
of the best movies ever.
Yeah.
Definitely the best LA gangster movie ever.
Yeah. And best shootout sequence ever.
Best shootout sequence arguably ever.
Yeah.
But I don't care about the action in this movie. I care about it is an opera set in the LA crime world.
Yeah.
And it's so expansive. It's got so many intricate plots, and Michael Mann's got them all up in the air, and he juggles them all perfectly.
It does.
It's got one of the absolute best casts ever. I don't know if you went back to 94, was it this movie was made? If necessarily all of those, like Danny Trejo wasn't the Danny Trejo we know today.
Yeah.
So would they have realised at the time how good this cast was, or was
I
it
don't
years
think
later?
so. You know.
But if you look at it, everyone is perfectly cast. Everyone is entertaining on the screen. Every little minor character, even down to that Native American buddy cop,
Yeah.
like everyone just elevates this movie to a whole new level, and Michael Mann juggles it all perfectly. And for me, it is the perfect movie. It's the kind of movie you could put on anytime, anywhere, to any person, and it's always worth a watch. It's brilliant.
I think you've got to give what you said about Michael Mann juggling it perfectly. You've got to give him immense credit, because in the hands of another director with all this cast and how frantic all the plot is, it could have easily been like a flop in the wrong hands, if you see what I mean. Like, the idea was there, but you have to be a good director to make it
And
work.
Michael Mann's one of those storytellers and directors where it's not particularly obvious what he's doing right.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have flashy storytelling.
No.
But the only way you can tell that he's such a fantastic filmmaker is in the consistently amazing results. Like, he consistently makes these great movies.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't look at him and say, wow, that was amazingly directed. That wouldn't be. That's not the first thing that strikes you.
Yeah.
But there's a simplicity. And to be honest, when you have this good of a cast, this good of a script, you can be simple in your approach to it. But everything's just, nothing's flashy. Nothing. He's never ever trying to treat a scene or a moment as a vehicle for showing how cool he can be or how interesting a director he can be. It's always just, the camera's just exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah, I guess my point is, you can have a great cast and a great script, but if the director's shit, the end result will be terrible. Like,
a mess.
Yeah.
One thing this film
I can
has
name
is
loads of films.
this film feels like a completely whole. It feels
Yeah.
it's 2.5 hours long.
It doesn't
Huge
feel
cast
like
of
that.
characters,
Does not feel like that.
huge amount of subplots, and nothing feels out of place. Nothing feels disjointed. Perfect.
And it does not feel 2 hours and a half. It
No.
goes like that.
I could easily. It's one of those long movies where I'd happily watch for another hour.
Yeah.
Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe.